Bad news for Square Enix, who have lost $2 billion in market value since Final Fantasy XVI launched. Final Fantasy XVI actually seems like a decent game. I haven't finished it yet. I played the first couple of hours, and I liked it. It's better than more of the recent ones that have come out. I didn't care for 13, 14, or 15. Not in the online stuff. I didn't like that lightning character. And I didn't like the other one that came out. It's a franchise that's kind of lost its way. This new one does a better job of kind of capturing the feel of some of the older ones as far as like look and story, even though it was heavily inspired by Game of Thrones in a lot of ways. But for the most part, I've enjoyed it enough. However, it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive, which, of course, hurt the game. I mean, that's not the biggest audience to release your game to. And I'm not saying that's a small audience, but should have been a game on every platform. I don't know if Sony gave them money or what, but investors aren't happy with this game, and they continue to lose money. They are a company that has lost their soul. I just want to show you something. Like, this is a game that Square Enix should have made. This is a Sea of Stars. Little 2D role-playing turn-based game that's getting a lot of buzz. People seem to be enjoying it. And it's not made by Square Enix. This used to be what they did, and they don't do this anymore. Now it's a bunch of indie developers that make these games, and it's money lost for them because they don't do this. They want to make nothing but Western-style, big-budget games, which is not what I look to Square Enix for. I look to Square Enix for games like this, and they don't do that anymore. And that's one of their biggest problems, in my opinion. I used to love Square games ever since they joined up with the Enix part. I forget what that company used to even be called. They were the makers of Dragon Quest, which is a huge game over in Japan. But ever since Enix and Square joined forces, they just haven't been the same. It's sad. They just don't get it. Like, there's a Final Fantasy VII remake right now, and I'm not talking about the big budget one that's available on PlayStation and PC. No, I'm talking about a 2D looking 3D pixel style game, whatever you want to call it. It's because it's not exactly like pixel art. It's more 3D, but you're hearing this, and you probably had no idea. You're thinking, wow, what system can I go download this on? Well, grab your pocket, ladies and gentlemen, because you just need to pull your cell phone out to play it. And that's not where people want to play these games. It's the same stupid reasoning. You know, they want to grab that market, and that market's just not there. No one wants to play Final Fantasy on their cell phone. That's the problem with those Final Fantasy pixel remasters. For a long time, those were only available on cell phone. Then they eventually put them on Steam, and then they eventually put them on console. I had to import a physical Switch version of Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster that had all 6 of them on it from PlayAsia.com to get a physical copy of that. I don't even think it came out physically here in the States. You had to download it. That's more backwards-ass thinking from Square. Like, that's a huge market that would want a physical copy of that game. Can I walk into stores or even go on to Amazon and get an American copy of that game? I don't think so. Unless I was wrong on that. But I went to PlayAsia to get it. And that's not how things should be. So this company is in a lot of shit. $2 million in market value since Final Fantasy XVI launched. It's been a rough few months for Square Enix on the stock market. A new report says the Japanese video game maker has lost almost $2 billion in market value since the notable launch of Final Fantasy XVI in late June. According to Bloomberg, Square Enix shares have nosedived because of weak Final Fantasy XVI sales, in addition to the company reporting a considerable profit decline last month. For its part, Square Enix has previously fought back against the claims that Final Fantasy XVI has underperformed. In July, it said sales were extremely strong for the JRPG on PS5. I'm sure they were, actually. Strong for a PlayStation 5 game. The problem is that audience just isn't that big yet because they still support PlayStation 4 like crazy. Investors and analysts are apparently not too sure about Square Enix's future, though. Bloomberg talked with Tokyo-based game consultant Sakran Toto, who said the company has problems with their games output. He pointed to Square Enix, that Square Enix doesn't have enough titles aiming for blockbuster status. Instead, they're kind of okay and very forgettable. UBS Securities analyst Kenji Fukuyama added that Square Enix hasn't built another brand as big as Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, so if we look 5 years ahead, there isn't much that can make investors confident about the company's future. One big game release this year from the company outside those two storied series was Forspoken for PS5 and PC, but Square Enix did admit Forspoken was lackluster with sales. There's a little bit more context over here. Square Enix investors concerned about game quality, right? They actually mention that game I was telling you about, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Should be a big game. That's one of their biggest numbered Final Fantasy games. It's a remake in the style of the original game. However, it's failed to meet investor expectations too, despite an announcement that the game reached 5 million downloads. The company's habit of releasing mobile games, which they then shut down a year later, has been cited as causing of lack of confidence in fans. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis should be on Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox and PC. Why is this a cell phone game? They want to chase that money, and when they do that, they end up pissing off all of their hardcore fans, and it doesn't help anybody. The Avengers, Marvel's Avengers, Forspoken, DioField Chronicle, One Tokyo, all of these franchises they're putting out have failed. I think PlayStation should just buy them at this point. I think that they probably could afford them. This is a first party for them that makes sense. I don't know why they're not doing it. Then they could milk all these and put these all exclusively on their shit and get them back on track. Listen, make RPGs. That's it. Stop making Forspoken, Marvel's Avengers. Start making shit like this. You see the Sea of Stars game? Make things like this. Why the hell have they not made a bunch of these that are amazing? Go get the people who made this game, buy them, and have them make your games. I don't understand why Square doesn't do this. This should be from them, and it's not. And it hasn't been like that in a long time, and that's why they're shit. And they're going to keep losing money. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and Locals, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my Locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.